Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Healing with Excellence podcast. This is your holistic health expert, Kimberly Miller, and I'm with a very special guest today, all the way from Massachusetts, Miss Megan Baldwin. Welcome to the show today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So many of you have listened to the show in the past, and sometimes I just share topics that are very critical that I see on a regular basis to try to prevent other people from suffering. And then other days, I do an interview of somebody that has went through the healing process with me or is continuing through that healing process so that they could share their story and to give hope to others who may have been struggling, to help save some of the trauma that we have been through or help us to know that we can recover from that trauma. And when I say healed through this process or healing, as anybody knows that has been through the process of self-care and renewal, the healing journey never stops. You never stop elevating, you never stop being challenged to become your best self. So we come to a certain point and then there's something new for us to address. But it's just about becoming our best selves while we're here and having the best quality life that we can while we're in the physical realm. Okay, Megan, so can you share with us okay, let's talk about you had COVID in 2022, right? When did you get COVID diagnosed, or was it 2020?
2022, I got COVID, but I got the vaccine in I think December 2021 or January 2022. So around the same time I actually got the vaccine too.
Okay, so October 2020 had been pretty intense. They started talking about the vaccine coming out in December 2020. So you went quite a while without the vaccine. What made you decide to wait a while? And then what made you decide to finally get the vaccine?
Well, I never wanted it really in the first place, but then, going to school, I didn't want to wear a mask because I was working outside in a shop and I was like, I can't keep, wearing a mask. I cannot breathe. I'm working outside. Like, I need, to at least try a vaccine because I've done fine with vaccines in the past. So I was like, what's the worst that's gonna happen?
Right,
So
exactly.
I did end up getting the shot. Just one though.
And that was in 2021, like the end of 2021.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, December or January. I can't really remember.
That's okay. And in between, though, prior to that, you didn't have COVID prior to the end of 2021.
Oh.
Okay. You're just doing it to get rid of the mask and to,
Oh
give yourself some relief. Okay.
yeah.
And then in early 2022, when you had COVID, how did it present? What happened for you?
So my sister first got it, and then my mom got it, and then I got it. And I thought it was, it was like a regular cold. I thought, oh, maybe just a fever. And yeah, I had a fever and I was down and out for a few days. And it was like, kind of just like a normal sickness, but I felt way more groggy and I've never felt that bad.
Right. I understand. And so how long did it last, or did it just never really lift? Like if you can remember, because I know lots happened, how did it kind of progress after that?
So I was sick for like a week or a week and a half. And it was
Hmm.
basically fever, runny nose. I had to take medicine I had a headache. I couldn't go on screens because I would get migraines. So that's all I can really remember what I had. And then a few weeks later, I started I got fine after, a few days. I was perfectly fine. And then
Okay.
it was February break,
Mm.
my sophomore year of high school. And all of a sudden I started getting tachycardia. I started getting shortness of breath. I thought I literally went to the hospital like a month later because I thought I was like having a stroke or just something weird was going on. I couldn't breathe. I was laying down and I'm like, I can't eat either. Like I was, getting sick and nauseous and
Mhm.
all these weird symptoms that I thought, oh my God, like, am I dying?
Yeah, it's scary, right? So you went to the hospital that February, and then how did that hospital visit go? Can you remember what they did? Like, did they just make sure you were safe and sent you home?
So They, so I went in. I'm like, I think I had a stroke or a seizure or something. I don't know what's going on. And they were,
Hmm.
and we've talked about long COVID with my doctor, my old PCP, and she was like, oh, maybe it was long COVID or maybe it was the vaccine. Who knows? And so we went there, and they were like, well, you should, get referred to the long COVID clinic in Boston because it was very new. They were trying to get people to come in
Mm-hmm.
like, what COVID did to people or whatever. So I think I just went home with, you need to get referred somewhere else, but you're fine. Just up your anxiety meds and you'll be fine.
Yes, and let's talk about that. At the
Yeah.
time, were you just on one anxiety medication?
Yes, I was on sertraline since I was 13.
Okay. And I know by the time I met you, you were off of that medication, but on a new one. So who took you off the sertraline and what happened with that? Why were you taken off of that?
Um, they thought the sertraline was affecting my heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
Cardiologist and my PCP, and I had a psychiatrist or someone at the actual doctor's office before I got referred to another psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so I don't even really remember honestly what even happened with that. They thought,
that's okay.
you know, affecting your heart, and that's what's causing all these issues. So they were like, okay, we could slowly get off of this.
Mm-hmm.
And
So they took you off that, then they put you on a new medication to help with anxiety and panic attacks, right?
I got put on, while going off, I got put on hydroxyzine, which is not antidepressant. It's an old fashioned allergy med, they called it.
Okay, but utilized for anxiety also.
Yeah, I use that
Yeah.
a lot.
Okay, I understand. And that you would have been about what, 17 then, I guess?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Because I met you at 19.
yeah. So around there, I started using it.
Okay, okay. And so then did you end up going to the Boston Long Haul COVID clinic?
Yes, I did. So I have reports on my portal of actually what happened. I can't really remember a lot, but I did a stress test. I went to literally every doctor there is there. I went to pulmonologist, cardiologist, neurologist, just, all of that.
Yeah, the whole gamut. I understand. I've been there. Yeah. Not there, but through that process.
Uh,
Yeah.
it was very terrifying. I was just in school, like a young kid in high school, not knowing what the heck is going on, seeing all of these people, and I was like the youngest kid there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
Mm.
very, very brutal and very scary.
Yeah. Now, after you got through all of those diagnostics, exams, communication, what did you leave with? Can you remember what you left? And we may do another podcast with your dad when he's ready, because he'll probably have really good memory of this. But what did you leave with when you left there? What plan did they give you?
Um, just to get off the anxiety med safely and see if that's what's causing it, and to go to physical therapy to increase my stamina. And, because I was in an outdoor shop, um,
Mm-hmm.
forestry shop, which I worked outside. So every other week I had to work outside in the heat and I could barely do it. So they were like, oh, okay, well, we'll give you some hydroxyzine to help with your anxiety while you go off the other med. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and, we'll give you physical therapy,
Mm-hmm.
help increase your stamina. So that's
Okay.
what I left with. And diet, obviously. They were like, you need to have, I don't even remember. Like, they were saying how I should be eating nuts and seeds for my protein. And that didn't sit right with me. That did not sit right at all. You know,
Right.
like telling me to do, like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, I cannot eat that every day.
And when you met with them, did they do like your weight, your body composition, and tell you how much caloric need you needed for your organs?
I cannot remember, but I remember I lost a lot of weight,
Mm-hmm.
like 140 to 150 something. Then I went back down to like 120 something.
Mm-hmm.
And I shot like a year later when I got on, the medication and birth control and all that. I went up 100 to 165 pounds, and they were
Wow.
checking my weight all the time, and they couldn't give me like, what I should be doing or anything. They just kind of said, you know, you look like you're doing okay, so keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I know you think it's going to be scientific, but it's just almost like a random ambiguous guess. Yeah.
So it was brutal.
Now, was birth control given to you for other reasons, like for hormones, your period? What they put you on birth control for?
I think it was because I had heavy bleeding, and plus, I was sexually active at the time, so they were
You're
like,
being safe. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it'll help with a few different things. You won't have to worry at all. This will not cure all, but it'll help you.
Right.
Indeed. did.
Yeah, I see this happen all the time. One of the most common, approaches to heavy bleeding for young individuals is to put them on birth control to try to regulate their period. And it's actually an underlying cause that you need to address because sometimes that person can then get ovarian cyst, PCOS,
Oh
all
man.
kinds of health issues that are starting from that root of somebody not addressing the root cause and just putting a band-aid on it. So I'm so grateful that you were able to come off of that and things got better. And then when you and I met, we were able to go through everything you were dealing with. So over that 2 year period, or well, really, I didn't meet you till 2025, but from 2022 to 2025, how often would you say you were either in the hospital, the doctor's office, or in bed?
So I more got like bedbound toward the end of 2024 up until 2025, but the rest of it, I was always at the doctor's, weight checks, med checks, specialists, cardiologists. I just couldn't go like even 2 weeks without some sort of appointment. And it's
Right.
very, very hard. Like I was just in school. I wanted to hang out with my friends. I wanted to hang out with family. And then I had all of these appointments, boom, 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 boom. And I tried therapy. I tried everything. And
Yeah, it's a full-time career kind of managing that on top of school.
very, very stressful, along with the school. Not they believed me in some way, but I got treated very, very different. And it's still like, it's very hard for me to talk about because I barely graduated school. They treated me, like it was just anxiety and that I had to keep showing up to graduate, which I did. But I've missed so much school. I missed out on trips or, fun things in shop. I've missed out on almost everything because of appointments. And I felt terrible and I couldn't participate.
Yeah. How was your senior year? Like how did it impact your last year of high school?
Well, it did get a little bit better and it got better and worse at the same time because I wasn't really there for some of it because I went out during my shop weeks. I worked with my dad for co-op and
Hmm.
it was easier on my body. Um, it was just, in shop, I worked, 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 worked. And, I felt like working with my dad was easier. I didn't have that much stress on me. I could just be myself. And, if something were to happen, I'd feel safer. Because at school, we were in the middle of the woods and I'm like, oh my God, like, but with
Yeah.
my dad, we were out, working and I was in civilization and there was bathrooms and there was food and, I felt way safer.
Yes. And I know you were officially like you were diagnosed with long haul COVID. I believe they officially or pending a diagnosis of POTS and mast cell activation.
Mhm.
What were the main symptoms that led you to being bedridden that really scared you or made you feel disabled to where it was not safe for you to drive, not safe for you to like go to a normal job?
Tachycardia, my heart and my breathing, like can't breathe, the severe anxiety that came with it.
Hmm.
Not being able to eat because I just felt so sick. I couldn't even stand for long periods of time, or physically move without my heart racing and heat intolerance. And
Hmm.
I was always shaking, like I was like this all the time.
Oh gosh,
Uh,
yeah.
and my blood was pooling at my feet and my legs, and I'm like, it scared me. I couldn't really do anything. I was like, why is my body doing this? I'm not getting any answers, or I'm trying everything I can and no one can help me. Like I was a very like a big wreck.
Yeah, well, it's scary when you're going to, I know for me, when I went through something similar, you're going to who you believe to be experts, specialists. You have a lot of amazing universities near you there in Massachusetts. And if they can't figure it out, you're like, who's going to figure this out? Or is this just my fate? Is this just my body? Am I incurable? And you just assume you're going to die at a very young age. At least that's how I felt.
Yeah, and yeah, it was terrible. I really thought I was going to die and my body did not feel safe enough to even move anymore because I felt so sick. My body
Hmm.
really just wanted to lay down all the time and sleep and just not do a single thing.
Now let's talk about that. Did you get your license normally at like age 16 and were driving a little while and then when all this happened, you didn't feel comfortable and you stopped driving?
Yeah, so I went through driving school. I literally went through one of the best schools. We know the owner and everything, so I felt comfortable. And if I needed to tell her anything, how I felt, I would. I felt very comfortable. So
Hmm.
I did all my driving okay. and I passed for my license. But then I did my permit too, and I was completely fine. But then when I was going off the searcher lane, I'm pretty sure, and then I was completely off of it. I had issues, and I'm like, I can't drive again. But I also, the sertraline blocked certain things and memories in my brain. I feel like,
Hmm.
'cause I did have trauma with seeing car accidents and witnessing, people in car accidents, and it triggered everything in my body. I'm like, nope, I'm not driving. I already feel like crap. I don't want to get in an accident. No.
I understand. I understand. And I remember the very first time that we met by Zoom, and I remember telling you, I know that you're very exhausted and it's hard to go through the story. And I said, we're going to try to get through this hour call. If
Yeah.
we need to take it slower or cut it short, we can, because I knew how much it would knock you out
Oh
just
yeah.
to have a 30 to 45-minute conversation about what had happened, right?
Oh yeah. It was. I do remember that though. But
Yeah, and go ahead.
I'm really glad, you're helping me because look how fast I'm, healing. So that was very, very good.
No, it was a blessing for sure, and a blessing that we had mutual friends and colleagues that knew each other. Now, right prior to me, though, I think you did try, because again, you're following a similar path that I had. I only knew of conventional medicine. I went to all the experts, and then I was basically told I was incurable. Then I would find people that were like kind of in the natural path or the functional medicine world, or what you would call holistic, but I was still led down a different path with them that was not helping me heal and was costing me an extreme amount of money in supplements and treatments and all kinds of things that I was trying to do to heal. And again, it felt like it had to be complicated to heal. Even though healing's hard, sometimes it just needs to be targeted, not complicated. But for me, I was really losing hope because even the holistic health professionals or functional med didn't seem like that was going to work, or was going to be unsustainable even financially to keep up with it, or maybe the special supplements they had. I know that after you almost exhausted, and again, you didn't give up on conventional medicine, you were still scheduled with some conventional experts, but at the same time, you decided to try functional medicine. How did that go? How did that visit, and what'd you leave with?
So there's a place down, 15 minutes from me, and they're an integrative medicine place. I
Mhm.
thought, I got so many good words about that place. You should go there. They're going to help you. The one thing I really, really did like there is they test for so many, like different blood tests. They do like almost every test under the sun, which I am grateful for. I did the mold
Mhm.
test. I did, they were very, very respectful and about, what I wanted to have done. And
Mhm.
I'm just really grateful for the testing they have. And they are also very, very nice people. They made me feel safe and everything. But there was this one part that is kind of following traditional medicine,
Mhm.
they would tell me all these supplements and all of these, different allergy medications. Like I've tried
Mhm.
everything, and all of it made me worse. And I said, okay, I love them here. They're very, very genuine, sweet people, but I,
Mhm.
I cannot get put on more supplements and meds and all of that. So that's where I kind of, drew the line there. I don't want meds. I don't want supplements. I literally just want the right nutrition first to see how that works.
Yes, I understand. And again, same thing. Most individuals that I've encountered in the holistic health world, functional medicine, the intentions are very good. The hearts are good. They're not going to negate your symptoms and make you feel like you're going crazy. They're going to acknowledge you because they know that something's out of homeostasis, out of whack in the body. But again, you had a similar experience as I did. And when I met with you, I had met with you not long after you met with them. And so it was a little hard at first when I'm looking at the plan, the supplements, the medications you were already on. And then it's hard to trust, like, okay, she needs to come off of almost everything that she's on because all of this is going to prevent her from healing. So I know between you and your dad, that was not easy.
It was not easy, but there was, as soon as I met with you and I researched you, I was like, you know what? She's definitely going to help me. And I believed it. I believed going off of these meds will actually help me this time. Before, like a few years ago, I would have been like, you're nuts.
Yeah, yeah, you're fired. Yeah.
But you were right. You were exactly right going on everything. And I felt way better.
Yeah, and to for the listeners, we did not just go off everything. We did everything very methodical. So there were certain supplements she was on that was definitely just useless or was going to cause her toxicity. But in our world, in the holistic health world and fitness professionals, we are taught that, you need to have, your vitamin D, you need to have this every day, your magnesium, your calcium, and we don't realize that there's toxicities with that can impact us. And so first we started with the supplements that were not matching her specific need. And then we slowly started working on the medication. She was on a blood pressure medication and anxiety medication. I think one more, yeah, another one for allergies. There was a few that we could definitely not coach her through and help her with stopping immediately. That all had to take time. What
Mhm.
else do you remember about that first visit? We probably should have watched that recording together
Oh,
before we did our podcast. And don't worry, for the general public, we'll probably share pieces of that in the future
yeah,
when
I
it gets ready.
watched the whole thing, honestly. It's very, very hard to see myself like that. But um the
Like, what made you leave feeling, and I guess what was different between our interaction and all the other interactions that you had with all the other experts?
hope. I had hope, and you just hearing you say like you will heal, and someone who will believe in me and help me and has been through it. That's kind of different from everyone else because they didn't know what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
You were like, you basically started off with saying at such a young age you've been through similar things, and you healed, and I've seen some of your other posts of other people healing, and I'm like, huh, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's possible. And you know just everyone, Marty was amazing, and just everyone here, my dad, my grandparents, everyone, all my friends were like, you're gonna heal. And
That's awesome.
I just
Yeah.
needed a little seed planted in me saying, have not, I don't really like listening to others, like, what the negative things they have to say, like, oh, you're not going to heal or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing people like, actually have hope and, it's like, okay, I think I can do this. And I know inside me, I was like, you can definitely do this. You could do this in your sleep. Like, you are strong. And, I just had to have hope, honestly.
I understand totally. And I tell people all the time, when I tell someone they can heal, it's because I 100% know they can. I have other discussions with other individuals, and I don't predict what's going to happen with their future, but I basically just help them through the dying process. I kind of try to make that less impactful, or I support the family through the process, because you can tell either by the person's wherewithal, their gratitude, their hope, their faith, their drive, their ability to pull themselves out of it with support, with or without support. I didn't always have support helping to heal myself, but sometimes, as you know, that support really helps us a great deal. But I've had people that, either you met them too late, or that it just seems like this is what is supposed to be their fate or their journey, and then I just help support them through that process. So when I met you, I knew 100% that you could heal. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you how long. I did tell you probably 6 months to a year, somewhere around there, because it takes that long for the cells to regenerate, and consistency, our learning of the body and how our body works and how your body works specifically. So it takes time, because when I first met you, it was scary for you to even know what to eat. I think you were down to like rice cakes, rice, and like one other food group that you were eating. And it was very scary. I was scared that if you were not going to be able to eat, then I would not be able to help you through because it would be hard to regenerate any cells with what you were currently eating at that time.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. I was down to oatmeal, rice, and green beans, and maybe like a few egg yolks.
Mm-hmm.
God, it was. I still have like the notebook of what my dad wrote in when I was eating, and I still look back at that sometimes, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how I survived on that, but I was in a lot of pain. I
Oh, you were, I know, I
down,
know.
back was hurting, my jaw hurt, so there was something physical going on, and I can remember like people saying like you need to eat to live, and I said, yeah, I'm trying, but I'm in so much pain.
Yes, yeah. And then there were certain foods you don't know whether it's going to set off mast cell or make your symptoms worse, or your heart rate would get worse after you ate. So
Yeah.
you weren't sure which food was causing that. So it's a lot, and it's very scary. And I remember us talking too in the beginning about taking a different path to healing that looks different to others, or that others don't understand, or that they weren't on your initial call. is not easy for other people to know whether to support your path or be scared of what you're doing. And I remember talking to you about that over the next few months, we have to create boundaries that only certain people can be in your space, even if you love them, because if they're individuals that have doubt in what you're doing or make you explain yourself all the time while you're the sick one and defend what you're doing, that would make it very hard to maintain your faith, hope, perseverance, and then also your energy.
Yeah.
So we talked about setting those boundaries. So did you see a lot of people over the 6 months that we were working on this process, or how often did you see people?
I didn't really see a lot of people other than my grandparents, my dad, my CNA, and just a few other good family friends, like my cousin and a few, yeah, good friends.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anyone really my age. I wanted to hang out with people, but at the same time, I wasn't like who I used to be, and I can't do all of those fun things, and it's very,
Right.
very, very hard. And I didn't want anyone to see me like that. So I only stuck with very, very few people who encouraged me and helped me and just was there for me whenever I needed. So it
Yeah, they didn't need much from you.
No, they did not at all. I didn't really put much out, and they were just there to comfort me and help make food for me and just tell me like I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. Like I'll be okay. And just that's all I really needed at the time. And it was very, very I was just so grateful.
Then you had pretty much a full-time CNA during the day over this entire time from September on. Well, you probably had a CNA well before I met you, but when I met you, had a full-time CNA.
Yeah, so my dad was my caregiver most of the time. He had to stop working because it was just a pain with, trying to get all these different doctors to write off for a CNA or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I did end up getting a CNA in August, and she's still here to this day, but she's has shorter hours. So I did have her from 9 to 5 every day on weekdays, and on weekends she'd come only if my dad had to take my sister somewhere or had to work
Mm-hmm.
on weekends. But it was like, crazy. Like I never thought at such a young age I'd have a CNA, and but she's very nice and she supports me, and which is very good. She still makes my food during the day. She only stays now from 9:30 to 1:30, just enough to make my food, and I can basically do everything else. I don't really do much anyways. But it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I know her hours keep getting reduced and you're starting to get your own freedom back. You're starting to drive again,
Yeah.
practice little pass. She got to drive me recently. So it's
Uh,
exciting. So just to update everybody, I met Megan in September of 2025, and over like a 6 month period, we saw her progressively healing. We slowly reduced supplements, different medications. We did a specific micronutrient test for her to see what her body definitely needed for supplements. We tailored supplements to her body. We tailored her dietary program to what her body needed for cell regeneration. And we tracked that her body was healing internally over that time. And I'd say it was February, March, I was like, she's doing amazing. She's 70 to 80% healed, but I definitely want to see her in person. I had not met with her in person during that entire time. And I was like, if I can fly to Egypt into the Middle East, I can fly to Megan and go check on her. And I had planned to go to her, and some emergency came up on Easter weekend, did not get to see her. And so I just got to see her this last week. And it was our first time actually meeting in person and me getting to do a neuromuscular assessment. And the goal was for me to see the dynamics of how to get her now back into her real life and getting to live like she would like to live. So Megan, when I got there and then we did our neuromuscular test and then we got to go to the gym and to the lake, and you'd already went to the lake a few times without me, but the gym, the lake, got some treats. How did you feel about this last week?
Oh my God, I felt so good. It was a little I was so nervous at first. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, in a while, like what's gonna happen to me? But I was completely fine and I felt like a normal human being again. So
Yeah.
it very like just, I felt good. I had, all these happy hormones going through me, and I'm like, oh my God, like I am actually happy now.
Yes. Yes.
Thing in my room, just, in my own head. And I just felt amazing, strong. And I could actually, lift weights and, do a little bit at a time. And I'm just so grateful. I was so happy. Just, oh my gosh.
Yeah, when we went to the gym, it was because a lot of people, as you know, with POTS, to go to the gym is very scary. You know, they might believe they're going to faint or your heart rate might get over 160. And but I told her, I said, if there's any weird thing, we're going to fix it, right? They're going to take care of it because I know how to calm the body or check the muscle or fix the problem. And so she's like, okay, okay. But we got through all, I mean, literally our first machine we went on, other than the bike to warm up, was the pull-up machine. And a lot of people with POTS are not going to stand on a pull-up machine. But she did absolutely, and we did almost every exercise standing, right? Nothing really seated other than the lat pull down
Yeah.
machine. Yeah. And just for those listening, we don't approach this like no pain, no gain, no holds bar. You do this very methodical when you start getting someone back to real life or strengthening their body. You know, you do maybe one or two sets, take them to the form, teach them, see how their body reacts, maybe do another neuromuscular test. But anyway, it's very more of a scientific approach, matching that person's physiological load. But we left there and it was like, I told Megan, I wish we had like a GoPro on our head or a camera crew because she goes, we would be influencers because it really was like reality TV show. Didn't you feel that way?
Oh yeah, I felt, like everyone was like looking at us and, watching us, but I didn't really care. I just felt, like just good again and happy to be there. And, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and like with you going missing in action for a little while from some of your school friends and that, and knowing so many people in town, it's hard because they didn't know what was happening to you either. Nobody can truly understand it. Even when we don't understand what's happening in our body or the physicians, it's really hard for friends or community members to know. So to see that you're alive and
Yeah.
you're well and you're getting out there is a big deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, what I like that we're doing this podcast now. Sometimes I don't do a podcast until 2 or 3 years later, not because we're waiting that long, just because of timing, life. And so, getting to do this right when you're like at the cusp from, the really torment part of your life that you went through. And now I'd say you're 90% healed. And again, as I said earlier, we're never fully healed. Our body is constantly moving, the cells are always regenerating, and they can malfunction at any time due to stress, just like a machine.
Yeah.
But now Megan is more armed with ways to empower herself. And if her body were to lose homeostasis, she has her own little triage plan, how she brings it back into check, right, Megan?
Yes, I do. And I'm very, very grateful for it because, a few years ago, I would not know what to do, but now I do. And I listen to my body so good, like, better than anyone else. If by them looking at me, oh, you look fine. No.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm very grateful. I know what to do now. And I'm just, yeah, just so beyond grateful.
Yeah, now you've been able to shower some by yourself, right? Because
Yes.
it was hard to shower before.
Yeah, I still use my shower chair in there sometimes because just, in
Yeah.
and for safety but I wash my hair, I wash my body now, which 10 months ago I wasn't able to do that. I had my CNA helping me. I could do a little, but I was so dizzy, so sick. I was like, this is just I was just sitting there, just felt like jello, just couldn't move or anything. So I'm very grateful I can move my body now, and it feels good to shower now. The heat, I couldn't do the heat before, but now I
Right.
take warm showers and it feels so good. My muscles just enjoy it. And I'm so grateful to be able to shower. I never would have thought I would, ever say that, but I am very, very grateful I can shower on my own.
I know that that's what was so profound to me, the things that you would share that of course were that's something very profound. When
Mhm.
I would hear you say certain things you're excited about getting back to doing, or like when you told me you drove a bobcat the first time in the street, I was like, the things that Megan is appreciating is so amazing and I'm so grateful for. And that I've never had a client say I'm so, other than maybe a male construction where I never had a 19-year-old girl before say, oh yeah, I was driving the bobcat down the street. So it was exciting to hear some of those things and things you're happy. And I couldn't imagine, because even though I had some chronic health issues at 17, 18, 19, at that time I was still self-sufficient. So it would be hard for a 17, 18-year-old to have a CNA showering her or 19-year-old and not feel like, what's my life going to lead to? So was there any point before we met that you were unsure if you would ever really have a life again?
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah. When I was working with Marty before I've met you, he helped me with emotional processing and all of that. And I had feelings where like, am I ever gonna, be able to live my life. I don't want to die at 19 years old. I felt worthless. I felt hopeless. All of that, like all of those, and it was so scary for me.
Yes, some of the individuals your age that have either had seizures or POTS, they end up either losing their driver's license or inability to drive.
Mm.
They don't feel like they can date again. And I get so disheartened and so sad at how many young people, their entire trajectory is changing just due to lack of information or misinformation. Where, I mean, think about they may never get to have a spouse or have a child or live a normal life just because the wrong approach was taken, not because their body is so irreparable, but because of the wrong approach. So after you started getting answers and you started, and even what you felt this last week, has your view on your future changed?
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. I might still have bad days or hard times, but oh my gosh, like I am just my whole mindset changed. Like, maybe one day I will be able to date again. Not that I really want to right now. And I,
Yeah.
I can hang out with friends again and I can see some family. And, we were talking about truck pulling. And my dad's like, there's one in a few weeks, but I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, I think you should do it. I want to watch.
I'm so scared. But honestly, all my friends that some of them truck pull too, and it's just great because they're like, we want to have you there, and it's just oh my god, I'm so excited to start living and eating again. And eating out at that smoothie bowl place. I did go back, and
Yeah.
so it was a different person than when we went.
Hmm.
But I told him, he's like, "Do you come here often?" And I'm like, "Well, I do the other day." And now my dad's like, "This is going to be a reoccurring thing." And I told him I'm on this recovery journey, and this place might actually be like one of the things to heal me. I love it here, kind people, great food, and he was just so happy that I was there, and it was just great, interacting with strangers again. I know that may sound weird, but it's great. I miss talking to people.
I understand. Well, that's what I was so grateful and proud of and glad that I had the picture of it for us after we left the gym the first time. I had seen this organic berry health food store prior to getting to Megan. It's actually the area I was staying in my Airbnb. And she mentioned, I'm like, oh my gosh, we should go because I wanted to go and I haven't seen it. And it was just so amazing to see her there paying for the treats, ordering the treats, because in the past, at least a year or more, everybody's been doing that for her. And normally I would be like paying for the treat and bringing it to her in a typical setting if she couldn't get out of bed or get out of her house. So it was exciting to have her there and treating me for our dessert after our gym visit. It was awesome.
It was.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think. There was one other thing I want to ask you about your journey with that. I think it was just about, how it changed your hope, it changed your pace. And then, so now, if you were to, this might be hard because it's kind of like it seems like an interview question, but if you were to tell anybody else that is struggling, that is losing faith, that's what I want to talk about. Because you told
Mm.
me that, because a lot of people don't realize when you get these sensory issues too, you can't listen to music, you can't look at a screen. It's like you literally, because some people, when I'm telling them they just need to rest, they feel like I'm just going to let them waste away in bed and die. And they don't realize that sometimes your body cannot have any energy output, it just needs to be poured into.
Yeah,
And you felt that even before I met you, you were trying to like block out everything and just rest in bed. But again, sometimes if you're in bed all the time, you think that theory, if I don't use it, I'll lose it. And you think you're never going to be out of bed. But you set boundaries and you told me too, even if you wanted to look at a screen, listen to music, you just couldn't do that for a long period of time, right?
yeah, it was terrible. Like I just wanted to listen to my favorite songs or draw or read or, just do basic, little things that people would think, oh, it's not such a big deal. Like, I could do that in my sleep.
Hmm.
It was very hard for me with all the sensory issues. Like even the refrigerator noise was bothering me. And that is something that I never thought about in my life.
Yeah, right. You're like, who would think about the refrigerator? I know. Now, and you told me there was days that felt like, there was no hope, but that you would say things to yourself and say, I'm going to do this. And you even told me that one time you said, well, if nobody can figure this out, I'm still going to figure this out. What would you tell yourself to keep yourself going when it felt like it was hopeless?
that I have people like around me who love me and that I needed to keep going. Not only for myself, yes, but the other people around me. I couldn't just imagine myself dying and just leaving, the people I love in the dust. And, so that means I had to keep going. And I also had a very big hope to live because, I did get jealous of what other people were doing. And when I couldn't do it, I was like, I want to be able to do that again one day. I want to be on this planet for as long as I can and have the best time. I do not want to die at age 19. That is just not an option. So,
Yeah,
no, just the people around me, just that made a huge impact. Like when I changed, who I hung out with, and I'm not saying I didn't love them or anything. I
of
just
course.
somewhere new to experience, the where I feel best, to see if it helped me. And it did. So just the people who I'm around and more positivity and just, I wanted to live. I don't, just I didn't want to die at 19.
Yeah, and learning, I didn't know until I was there that your dad had lost his only brother early on in life, in his 30s, but still very early in life, and had suffered many years of his life. I could see why your dad wanted to help save you so much, because
Yeah,
losing a child is one of the worst pain you could ever feel in your entire life, and let alone and losing a sibling too.
yeah,
So I'm so grateful that your dad had the wherewithal and the faith and the drive to help. And then even seeing meeting your grandparents, they were absolutely amazing and supportive. And even when it doesn't make sense to them, they were still supportive, because some of what I teach is completely opposite of what we've been taught, and it's
yeah.
scary.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, so it was amazing. But I want to share with everybody today, Megan is successfully off all medication, no anxiety medications, no antidepressants, no hormones, no. Oh, that was another big thing we got off right away was laxatives. She was on 3 laxatives a day. Her GI tract worked. She's off all of the supplements she didn't need. When she takes a supplement, it's only specific to what her body has to have. How does that feel, being pretty much medication free and being as awesome as you currently are?
It feels amazing. Like it's kind of scary at the same time because I grew up on all these medicines because I had severe anxiety growing up, and I was thinking to myself, like, how the heck am I supposed to not be on an anxiety med?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And I actually have been okay. Diet is literally what changed my life, and my anxiety has gotten way better. And being outside and around people I love, and that, I still have some, like, a little bit when I'm nervous to do something, but I have to realize I can't control every situation and I can't be scared the rest of my life. So a little bit of anxiety, I don't care. Like, it's okay. Most of it went away.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
human. Yeah, that's
yeah.
natural. And sometimes anxiety drives us to do better or dig within if we feel it and have help on how to process it, observe it, work with it. But gosh, this girl has bears coming literally to her door every night. So even though they're amazingly
Yeah,
cute, I could imagine the anxiety. She thought someone was trying to break into her house the other night because the bears were right at her door.
it does. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I can hear them outside when my window's open. I obviously have panic attacks. I'm like, oh, oh. But, you know, I just
Yeah.
did and, it's okay. It'll be fine.
Yeah, no, and you did absolutely amazing. She got through everything between driving me, being outside, going to the new place for desserts, and not really desserts, it's really health food, but it's taste treats, like sweet treats. And then also at the gym. She did absolutely amazing with all those people around, being her first time in a formal gym with a trainer. So that
Yeah.
was exciting. So what would you tell somebody? That's what I was going to ask you earlier. What would you tell somebody that is believing that their body is irreparable or losing hope? What would you say to tell them to keep the faith?
That they haven't found the right thing that works for them. They can't just give up right away. They have to find something that works for them and not be afraid to try new things and go, a different whole, like go the holistic route for things. Don't be scared. Like literally, like what's the worst that can happen?
Mhm.
And, to never lose hope and faith because you never know what could happen. So I just feel like if you have a will to live and inside that you can heal, I just say go for it and, do whatever makes you happy. Like, I could keep going on and on, but honestly, just, to never lose the hope, the faith, and, to try different things that work for you to see, it actually does work. So,
No, no, I appreciate the feedback, and you're so right. And when she says holistic, as I've said in other shows, it just means looking at the whole person. And that might still include medication, supplementation, or procedure. It just a little bit more methodical if you have the right coach, the right advocate, helping you what is the best thing to do at what time. Because like if someone's getting multiple chiropractic adjustments or red light therapy or massage, but they're not getting neuromuscular work or the right diet or the right supplements, those things might not work effectively, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And it can get exhausting. Yeah. But overall, you've done absolutely amazing. I am so grateful to your family, your dedication, your perseverance. And for me, it's always been exciting to see how amazing the human body is when it's getting the true nurturing that it needs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm just so beyond grateful I met you. Like literally, I don't think I'd be here till this day. I'm being honest. But I'm just so grateful and I believe everything you say. It doesn't make me question anything. Like I know it'll work and
Mhm.
you know, I'm just very, very grateful. I don't know what else to say.
No, you're amazing. No, and see, and there's something that, yeah, what you said with that is it's it takes time with healing. And again, Megan is like I would say 90% healed. She still gets 10% of symptoms and she's slowly moving into real life to make sure we don't have a setback. Sometimes when we're very driven, we push too quickly, too hard, and we go right back to where we were. But you can recover faster if you have these details. We're
Yeah.
trying to do this very methodical with Megan where she just keeps healing over this year. But again, it's not even been a year. September of 2026 will be a year since we met. So we're doing absolutely amazing. She's doing absolutely amazing. And so where I'm going with this, so when I experience the healing responses she's getting now, over the next year, I continue to heal and I perfect that over 13 to 14 years. You just get better in some way, even though you're aging or you might have like a random symptom because you're human, you
Mhm.
still feel yourself getting stronger, better, more resilient in some way. So it's worth to take the perceived setback, to go within, nurture your body, do it in a way that allows your cells in your body time to renew and regenerate and allow you to learn. Like a lot of people I work with in Megan's position and my position, uh, you're doing like a complete spiritual renewal. Like I see a completely different empowerment and strength and fearlessness, even with a little bit of anxiety in Megan than when I even first met her. And would you say you feel like a better version of your previous self?
Oh yeah. I am completely different. Like completely different. Like I never thought I would even be here. So I can't even like I don't even have any words. Like I was so different back then and I was a hurt
Yeah.
I was very hurt. I was struggling. I didn't know what to do. So I took it out on other people. And I was
Yes.
mean and I wasn't gonna lie. I stood up for myself all the time. I was mean. I was mean. Okay. Now I'm very grateful for everything. I see the good in like every single thing now. And I don't hurt people, unfortunately. That's what I've learned. So I'm just learning to better myself so I don't become that person. I don't want to be that person again. You know, it's very hard to for people
I,
that you've changed and stuff. But I have changed and everyone around me has seen it and I'm very, very grateful that I changed.
No, I appreciate you too. And one of my other colleagues that's a nurse practitioner, we talk about this, that we see the people get this defining moment, this choice point where they get to decide, do you want to get bitter or get better? Do you want to go with love and gratitude or anger and fear? And you chose the getting better versus bitter. You chose to be a victor over victim, and you've chosen gratitude over continued judgment. And that is a huge, huge piece to healing if you can live in a space of love as much as possible. Again, we're human and it might entail tough love, but knowing to stay and just try to see the best in people, even if they're not the right person to be around you and have to create space for a little while. Understanding that everybody is going through their own journey, they've all dealt with their own trauma, and that their actions does not define our self-worth, but
Exactly.
they could be going through something in their own self-worth. And we want to, if you pray, meditate, or send them loving energy, if you can do that for someone versus let it viscerally sit in your soul and make you feel heavy and sick, it drastically changes your outcome.
Yeah, I've learned that, kindness is free and you never know what someone else is going through. So I try and be kind all the time. And I try and, bring other people up and cheer them on. And, kindness is free and, there's no need to be rude. So
Yeah.
very grateful that, I've learned all that and, just a completely new human being with new cells in my body and everything. I'm completely different.
That's so amazing. No, and I remember because a lot of people that are on the beginning part of your journey with me right now, they'll be sending me various texts about their symptoms or how they're feeling. And I know there's times that it feels scary, like this is going nowhere, or that this is too tedious, or this is irritating. And then all of a sudden you get another good moment of light that says, okay, I'm doing the right thing. It's just taking time for my body to do what it has to do.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I am so grateful for you, Megan. We'll sign off and you and I will stay together for a few minutes afterwards. But all of you listeners, if you guys have any questions about anything we discussed, any fears, concerns, feel free to message me. The email is in the show notes, and I'll link a couple other support tools that I've written before about POTS or different YouTube videos I've done to help you through some of the symptoms that Megan has experienced. And I also have written a quick ebook on long haul COVID to help individuals do things to assess their cellular stress to reduce the symptoms. So there's lots of tools out there. Message me if you need support. There's a very low likelihood that you are incurable. You just need to get the right plan. Thank you so much. And thank you, Megan. We appreciate you and your heart. Yeah.